Hello, you all. I hope all of you are doing good. Wish you a happy new year. Okay, so are you ready to ace your next networking interview series with us? Okay, so today we will be gonna talk about one of the very important interview question: how internet work, and on the same we will be gonna talk about what is the IP address, how it is a game changer. So stay with the NetMinion Solutions, where your ultimate destination for networking and security expertise met. Okay, and we provided a lot of information free of cost for sure, with lot of examples, interview questions, and strategies to stand you out from that interview line. Okay, one before going ahead for this YouTube video, one promise to all of you: by the end you will not only understand about the simple questions, but somewhat little bit different than others as well. So let's dive in. So before starting about our anything else, we need to talk about what the IP address, because IP address is really very important. And when we are talking about IP address, you can see we have two type of IP address. One is IPv4, one is IPv6. When we are talking about IPv4, some example we can take like 231.1.1.1. You can see it is divided into 4 octet, which means 8 bit per octet, and if we have 4 octet, it will be 8 bit each and every octet. Total will be 32 bits. Okay, pause. And since it is 32 bits, if we check how many total approx IP will be approximately 4.3 billion IPs are available. So don't think so that it is very much. Nowadays it is going out of the maybe you can say everything is in use, so we are running out of the IP address for IPv4, and that is the reason you can see the second version, which is IPv6. IPv6 on the contrary, if I will talk about, okay, it is bit like different than IPv4. Okay, like IPv4 you have seen 4.3 billion IPs, 4 octet. Here if you see, there are total 8 octets, and this value would be into the hexadecimal separated by the colons. Okay, so it is bit like 1.1. Maybe to cut the long story short, I am just using 2 time colons, and you can see such kind of IP address for your IPv6 range. So one thing you need to understand, when we are talking about IP is something what we need to have on our device. If you have smart kitchen, so in your microwave oven you should have IP address. If you are having the maybe smart AC, then on your AC you required an IP address. If you are having the smart washing machine, for sure you should have an IP address. So you should be aware that whenever you are writing down, whenever you are tracking something over the internet, it means IP is important. And when it comes to IP, we have two range, what is IPv4 and second is IPv6. IPv6, as I told, okay, it's into the hexadecimal way, and I talked about that it is 8 octets. So total address will be of 128 bits. Here it was of 32 bits. here if we talk about IPv6, it is 128 bits. And why we need IPv6? For sure, because IPv4 is running out, right? So earlier, maybe when internet got designed, we thought that it is sufficient, but nowadays it's all going out of the way. If I will open the command prompt, okay, you can open the command prompt in your own PC. If I open the command prompt, let me maybe just clean the previous picture, and here if I will say ipconfig and maybe /all, so you guys can able to see same thing. Yeah, can you see here? What is this? This is your IPv4 address, okay. But if you see here, this is some kind of link local, which is again a separate class of within the IPv6. Probably if you wanted to know more about IPv6, please write down in the comments. I will feel free to put me over the comments, and I am happy to answer you with another video on the IPv6 as well. But you can see somehow this kind of format is there for your IPv6 addresses, okay. So one thing, when you need to go to the internet, for sure you should have IP address. Now I talked about IP address, that it can be IPv4, it can be IPv6. I cannot touch the IPv6 in current video. Let us talk about more about IPv4 probably, okay, which is important. Now let me just delete the previous thing. If I will talk about IPv4, it is further divided into 5 classes. Again, it is important question for the beginners, okay. For the technical people who are having a great information, I will be gonna talk about the same in more detail in this video only in some moment, okay. So if we see, we have total 4 octet as I told you, okay. In first octet we will be having 8 bits, okay, 8 bits, and this 8 bit will be like this: 2 raised to power 0, 2 raised to power 1, 2 raised to power 2, 2 raised to power 3, 2 raised to power 4, 2 raised to power 5, 2 raised to power 6, and 2 raised to power 7. If I will convert it into the decimal format, it will be 128, it will be 64, it will be 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1, bit like that, okay. Now when we are talking about the classes, okay, because it is divided into some classes, there is a class A, which means it start from all the zeros, okay, all the zeros to the value when next value will be 1, okay. So it means before 1 all of these will be gonna go to the 1, right. So this value will come from 0 to 127. Since 127.x.x.x is a special range, it is reserved for the, anybody put me into the comments, okay, for the people who are not aware, reserved for the loopback, okay. So we used to say class A IP address start from 0 and go till 126. So this is your classes which is getting organized by IANA. What is that? Probably I will be gonna talk about in some more time, but yeah, this is your first class, okay. Similarly, if you go further, second value will be, because it is starting from 1 and the first bit is the 1, second bit is 0, and all the bits are 0, right, which results into 128, because you can see first bit is on, then it is 128 till the next value is also 1. We will be gonna use the value, so it means it will be 1 1 1 1 1 1 1, sorry, it would be 0, okay, here. So it will be gonna results into 191, which means your second range class B address will come into the picture, which start from 128 and go to the 191. Similarly, for class C, your range will be 192 to 223. There is class D, which results to 224 to 239, and then there is class E, but that is the reserved one, okay. We don't gonna use that in our network. Majorly, if you will see into your environment, we will be dividing the networks, okay, from the ABC class. Okay, there is one more concept which will come into the picture, which is public and private. I would be gonna describe about that, but I hope this whole scenario is clear to you people. Okay, so this is really very important. You should be aware about it, that all the classes we are dividing it on the basis of the first octet, right? Class B, somehow first octet and second octet will be gonna used. So if we talk about class A, it will be like X, and rest of the octets can be used for the, so when I am writing down X, it means network ID. Okay, so this is only network ID, only first octet. In class B, the 2 octet will be the network ID, rest 2 are free to use, host ID. Okay, similarly for class C, by default the 3 octets are booked and the 4th octet is free. So for network ID we have 3 octets which are full. I hope this point is also clear to everybody. Okay, now as I was telling you that there is some ranges like private range and public range. I hope you people are aware about it. If no, that's fine, I would be gonna explain about it, don't worry. Wait, if I will ping maybe google.com, okay, there is some IP address which is coming over here. By the way, from which class it is, you need to tell me in the comments please. But if I will ping some any other IP like fb.com, you could able to see some IP over there as well. Okay, then if I will ping netminion.net, probably you can see, oh, class A IP, great. So you can see still we have some IP address over there, right? But all of these IP address are the routable IP address, which is also maybe you can say public IP address. Okay, so we need to understand that when we are talking about IPv4, there is something more. What is that? One is private range. Private range means you can use it locally for your organization. One is public range. Public means the IP address which can be used over the internet. So if something is over the internet, probably that should be having the public IP, otherwise it won't work. Okay, so you can say private IP is non-routable IP. Okay, and who like these, you know, if you will talk about RFC 1918, you can able to see the defined range within this private stuff. But as I described about the three classes, okay, we have class A where we are reserving the private IP from the 10 range to the 10.255.255.255. So you can see that it is complete 10.00/8 what we are using. If you will check how many IP address, it will give us approximately 16.7 million. Okay, this time it is million IP address we will get by class A. Similarly, if we talk about class B, in the class B also we have the private range which start from 172.16.020 and it ends to 172.31. okay, it's not the complete range, please be aware. So here 255.255. so if you talk about how many, what is the subnet mask that will come into the picture, it would be /12. and if you talk about how many IP address, it will give us approximately 1 million IP address we will receive. On the contrary, if we will talk about class C, we will be having a very less range, and that is starting from 192.168.0.0 to 192.168.255.255, which results to /16. again, if you will just check, it will bit like maybe you can say 65k connections. Okay, 65k, I'm sorry, not connections, but the IP address what we will get from this range. Okay, so this is how our IPv4 and IPv6 address come into the picture. Now just a question, okay, which can be asked from the interviewers, if you are just in the networking field, very new, they can ask that in case of your organization, you are using, let us say, 10 range. So maybe 10.10.10.10 IP is getting used by this PCA. PCB is using .11 IP, PCC is using .12 IP. If they need to go over the internet, okay, over the internet, they wanted to go to some of the internet website, maybe some Google, Facebook, NetMinion, any of the website, okay. For sure, as I told you, you cannot go over the internet using your private IP. So you should have a public IP. How you will go to the internet then? Okay, the answer is, in such scenario we use a terminology named as NAT. Okay, if you people haven't heard about it, please explore about the same, and if you want more detailing about the NAT, there I can create a complete video for the NAT also, put into the comments, because there are lot of type of NAT, destination NAT, source NAT, maybe dual NAT. There are a lot of NATs which are available, private to private, private to public. But generally what happened, you can say there will be some device in between which is bit like a proxy, and in your environment, let us say if you are using in the home network, you have something named as modem, right? So ISP give you something named as modem. So what that does, all of your IP addresses, like bit like your phone, your tablet, your television, LED, laptops, whatever, they have private IP address. As I told you before some time, if you see, if I will again go to my command prompt, okay, and if I will write down IP config again, so you can see what is the IP address. It is a private range, class C, 192.168.1.16. yeah, so this is private IP address. But when it will go to the internet, it has to be converted into the public internet. So that whole story gonna taken care by the ISP. So ISP over here do the netting. All the private IP will be converted into some kind of public IP, and that is how your device can access to the internet. Please be noted, even your phone, okay, you can access the internet on the phone as well. So on your phone you can see the IP addresses. There also you can see there is some IPv4 address from the private range you will received, and if you wanted to go to the internet from the phone, you again required a public IP. So there also this NAT is required for sure. So this thing, maybe if you understand or no, I don't know, okay, earlier, but now you should be aware that whenever you are using all of these devices, in the background the NAT happens. Okay, I hope you are enjoying so far. Okay, please hit the like button, subscribe button, and send it to your friends also. Let me proceed further for more topics. Just rub it out, and I hope we have already discussed about IPv4 and IPv6. Why the private cannot go to the internet, that is also discussed. Fine, we are good to go. And here is something I can see which is very interesting. Yes, who manages this IP address? Who is behind this shell? Who is the mastermind? Very important, huh? Guys, it is an interview question. Also, you should be aware, if you are from the network engineer, you are a network engineer, you should be aware how this internet IPs works. So when I will talk about that IP address, there is a term IANA. You can see this full form, Internet Assigned Number Authorities. So this is a organization, you can say, who is responsible for managing all the global pool of IP address. Okay, but please be understand, they are not giving you the IP address. To IP address, when it is reaches to you, before that it went to multiple hands, like whom, like something named as regional internet registries. These are again some bigger organization, you can say. Okay, what INA does, INA give, okay, maybe if I will talk about here, INA allocate the IP addresses to the RIR. Okay, and in turn RIR give it to the ISPs, and ISPs give it to you. So this is bit like a complete chain. Okay, so if when it is going to your home and you are also maybe getting a public IP, so you cannot go to the INA directly and get this public IP. It is whom? It is ISP, and maybe there can be two ISP in between. So let me show you, don't worry. Okay, let me show you. Maybe let me open a browser and here open INA. See, oh, it's also handle the domain names, but currently I don't want to touch that topic. That is a big topic, by the way, DNS. Okay, we will be gonna talk about that maybe in the later videos. If you see here, number resource, okay, I am in the INA organization. You can see they are talking about blah 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 about their descriptions. But let's go to the number resource. Can you see here number resource? When I am going, you can see this picture. Can you see this picture? There are 5 RIR. RIR, as I told you, these are regional internet registries. Means what INA does? INA reserve some block and allocate to the RIR. So RIR have their own, maybe you can say this is a regional specific. So if you see in US, it is ARIN. If you see the Latin America, you can see LAC. In the Africa region, the RIR name is Afrinic. In Europe, it is RIPE NCC. But if you are in the Asia Pacific region, or if you are into the Asia, you are having APNIC. So you should be aware like from where you are getting the IP address, right? It's very important. So who is providing the IP address to us? These organization will provide the IP address to the ISPs, and in turn ISP provide this IP address to us. So from where this thing is coming? INA. So INA is the main organization who is distributing to these 5 RIR named as regional internet registries, which in turn send to the LIR, you can say local probably internet registries. Okay, it can be the bigger organization, some bigger organization, or some bigger ISPs, and then LIR can share it to the smaller ISPs, and from ISP you are getting in your home. So that is how whole of this network, or maybe you can say ISP blocks are managed for different businesses, for different individuals, for different organizations. Very important. Okay, and if you will just see here, you can see the registry names here. Okay, like RIPE NCC, it is for the Europe, Middle East and the Central Asia, LACNIC, Latin America and some Caribbean islands. Okay, similarly goes for your ARIN, Canada, USA, if you are into the Canada. So you should be aware like where you should be approaching, yeah, for getting the IP address. So if you are into the Asia Pacific region, you need to go for APNIC. Okay, bit like if you are into India, China, Singapore, Hong Kong, even Australia also. Okay, great. So you can see for whole Africa region you have Afrinic. Now what INA does, it allocate couple of the subnet to different RIR, and depending upon this, see, you need to understand it is the whole business. How? Let us say you are running a retail company. Okay, this is your application and you are into the retail company, and there are some users from the around the world which are coming to you. Okay, it is coming to you. Now how you can be over the internet, you can be understanding the location or the geolocation of the user depending upon the IP. So since this IP range, whatever this user A is using, is from Canada range, okay, so you are aware that your user database more utilizing from the Canada location, or maybe from the Australia location, or maybe from the Middle East, okay, whatever. So MEA reason, okay. So that is how it is really very important to know or to segregate these IP addresses depending upon these whole blocks, okay. So it is important thing who manages the IP address is really very important. I hope you understand about it. If you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the comments. I am happy to answer about the same, okay. Now let's jump on to the very basic question. If I will talk about how internet work, okay, how internet work, what is the way, if I am a user, I don't know the functionality of the internet and I need to go somewhere, how I can just go into the internet? Is it damn easy to just put on the browser google.com and google.com is opening for me? So there are lot of information flow of, I will say, communication will be happening in the background to make this work. Like if this user need to go into the internet, maybe this user is opening some kind of website, probably google.com, facebook.com, ICICI bank, whatever, let us say netminion.net in our case, okay. He wanted to go onto the internet. So whenever such kind of request is generated, the very first thing in your browser when you are hitting this kind of name, it is named as FQDN, fully qualified domain name. So in your browser there is something, a query will come, okay, and this query means DNS query, okay, because ultimately when packet is getting built, it is all 101010, and for the same you have different layers. I hope you are aware about OSI. If not, then OSI is really important. You should go through the OSI. Don't worry, I will be gonna give you a little bit brief about the OSI, okay. So everything will run around the OSI only. Like it has 7 layers. Layer 7 is the application layer, okay, application layer. And when I am talking about that somebody is running some kind of browser, which means it is using HTTP protocol or HTTPS protocol. So when such kind of protocols is getting used, it means you are using application layer. So like protocol DSCP, like protocol HTTP, like SMTP, like FTP, such kind of protocols are the layer 7 protocols, okay. Every layer has their own work. And when we are talking about OSI, again very important. If you have any doubts, probably I can make a video about the same, put it in the comments. Depending upon your comments, I can create the videos. So using layer 7 or application layer, somebody is opening, when somebody is opening the browser, it means he or she is utilizing layer 7. Layer 7 will send it data to the layer 6. Layer 6 is named as presentation layer, okay. Presentation layer is bit like your data formatting, encryption, decryption will be done over there, okay. Bit like your SSL thing will be gonna happen over here. So SSL stuff, presentation layer. Then layer 5 will come into the picture, which is the session layer, okay. It is bit like your inter-host communication will happen, okay. So you can say these 3 layers in a block, bit is for your application layer, okay. You can say all the application traffic will happen over there. But after that the technicality will come into the picture. Like if you are from the networking team and you are aware, or the security team, you are aware that when traffic will come to the layer 4, which is a transport layer, okay, which is a transport layer, then your ports will come into the picture. Like either it is a TCP connection. Let me tell you, 90% of the applications are TCP based, okay. And It can be UDP based also. UDP bit like maybe your voice communications are getting utilized on the UDP, but maximum it is the layer 4. Okay, then it will send the traffic to your layer 3. Layer 3 where your networking, it is a networking layer, yeah, networking layer, where all of your protocols, networking layer protocols like ARP, IP, and in the IP protocols for sure, BGP, blah blah blah, all of those, yeah. So those all protocols will come into the picture depending upon they have their own layers for sure. BGP like using TCP port 179 and upper layer also. So there can be different protocols which can come into the picture. Then data will be handed over to data layer, data link layer, it is layer 2, and eventually it will be gonna send on the physical wires, maybe through the signals, maybe through the physical transmitted over the physical media, you can say, into the bit and frame. So that is your layer 1, which is physical layer. So eventually what I was saying, the data will be into 1010 thing. For the same, you should have IP address. For the IP address, whenever you are hitting something on the browser, you should be having what? You should be having IP address available. And for the same, the DNS query will happen. So let me start from the same point where I was earlier. Okay, let me just rub this whole OSI thing. Okay, so a DNS query will be made. Now when DNS query will be made, it will go to root DNS server, then maybe top top DNS servers, and then some of the authoritative DNS server it will go, and that will give you the IP address that okay, for NetMinion, let us say the IP address is 54.1.1.1. Once this whole stuff come into the picture, so you can just think about whenever a user is hitting into the browser something, okay, like google.com, so very first thing is DNS query. So if DNS is not working, okay, if your root DNS is not working, top level domain DNS is not working, authoritative DNS server is not working, or maybe there is no local DNS cache also, it means your DNS is not working. And if your DNS is not working at the very first time, your user won't be able to go over the internet. So this is a question, like my users are not able to go to the internet. What can be the troubleshooting steps? Very first troubleshooting step, go to the command prompt, run ipconfig, check either the IP is getting allocated or no. If IP is getting allocated, are you able to ping the default gateway or no? If you are able to ping the default gateway, search out for the Google or something else, probably to check either if your DNS is working or no. Within these 3 points, the interviewer will able to understand that okay, you have some information about the application. Let me show you one more thing. Give me a minute. Let me probably open the Wireshark. I wanted to show you something related to the sorry, I don't want new, let it be the same, and over the Wi-Fi let me capture it. Let me probably hit this button again, INA, or maybe NetMinion, something, just trying to stop it. Now maybe DNS query name, but no. Let me check if I have some DNS information. Can you see there are a lot of DNS information which are coming into the picture? I'm just checking the DNS query name. Okay, so you can able to see when I am running out something like www.google.com, you can see this is DNS, domain name system. Yeah, a query message is sending over there. If you see the query, you can see it is asking for www.google.com google.com, and it is type A. Type A means bit like there are lot of records, resource records type like a record, okay, and there can be a lot of records that I would be explaining maybe in later on videos. So you can see www.google.com is asked, and if you see there should be a response for the same. So here you go, you can see this is a query and this is the response, and in the response you are getting the IP address. See, this was the query, you can see this is the query, this is the response, and the response you are getting into the within this much of the time period. See how earlier it is happening in the background, and you can see IP address is received to you. So same way, whenever you are going for any of the communication, the very first thing what happened is the DNS. So you can see there are a lot of protocols. By the way, you can see some protocol named as QUIC. Okay, this QUIC is on the UDP protocol. So even 443, okay, HTTPS, earlier days it was on TCP, but nowadays it is on UDP by using QUIC. QUIC is something getting formed by your google.com. Okay, but to cut the long story short, you can able to see there are a lot of protocols which are happening, okay, all of the things which are happening in the background, and this is how your internet is working. So one thing I hope you understand about the OSI. Second thing, you understand about the DNS. Once your DNS and OSI thing you understand, the third thing is the TCP handshake. What happened? Once your IP address is ready to available, your PC, your client will try to initiate the session with the server itself, okay, and while if it is a TCP connection, then it will send a SYN message. Here it will say that okay, I am sending you the acknowledgement of your SYN, okay, because I received your SYN packet, and I also wanted to say the SYN because it is bit like hello, and second side is also saying hello. So it is sending SYN and ACK both in the same message. That is the reason it is named as SYN-ACK. So it will receive a SYN. It will say that okay, because I received your SYN, now I am sending you the ACK. So the TCP three-way handshake is SYN, SYN-ACK and ACK. Bit like that. Okay, the TCP handshake will happen between the client and the server. So very first step, as I told you, the client will try to initiate the connection. So open the browser. Second step, as I told you, will be your DNS. Okay, DNS. Here, browser. When the IP address is there, client will initiate the session with the server. If it is a TCP connection, try to do the TCP, will establish a TCP connection, probably we can say. Okay, once this part is done, these three steps are done, fourth step will be your data transfer. So your data, if it is HTTP, FTP, whatever, okay, let us say HTTP in our case, it will send the HTTP data, and then for your data transmission there would be a lot of things will be gonna happen in the background, because if it is layer 7, then there can be a WAF device in between. WAF device will WAF, by the way, if the people are not aware, that's fine. Those who are aware, I hope you can able to relate. So WAF is a web advanced firewall which mitigate the vulnerabilities on the layer 7. There can be caching, there can be a lot of optimization, there can be encryption, decryption, there can be SSL handshaking, and lot of things which can happen in the background. But this is the overview. Probably I am just trying to tell you the overview how your internet works. I hope you people enjoyed this. Okay, and if there is anything, please put me into the comments. And again, Happy New Year, and thank you for watching this. Have a great day to you. Bye. Take care.